This is where you introduce us, man.
I can't hear the music.
I'm gonna stop and start over. You can't?
Am I
You didn't
supposed to hear the music? No. Did you guys hear the music?
Yeah. Did you guys hear the music?
I heard it.
Oh, okay.
That's why I didn't do anything.
Okay. I'm going to try and play the music.
Why is he yelling? Why is he yelling?
Okay, can you hear it now? I'm going to start it. And 1, 2, 3. Joey's moving. You can't hear it? What's going on, Kurt?
It's now time for action. Best rapper.
All right. I'm going to fade it out, Kurt, and then you're going to do an intro. Okay? Here we go. You can start talking. I'm going to fade it down.
All right. Welcome to Best Worst, our new podcast where we are figuring out the best and the worst of any given subject on a particular week. My name is Kurt, and I am joined by Mason and Joey. A quick little reminder, or for the first time listeners, we are friends. We've been friends for a long time, since the early 90s. Mason and Joey for even longer. So we have a long history of friendship. And today we have one of our special guests, Sarah, who has also been part of our crew, our social circle, our group of friends. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Sarah's actually on our website. Yes. She's part of the original crew, though. We felt like for tonight's topic, especially her.
Yeah, I got you guys. I brought out my special necklace. I think I know listeners can't see it, but I actually have the necklace on that's in the photo on the website. So I'm really bringing the energy from 1996 here today.
That was that 96?
I don't know, 94, 93? I don't know. Something like that. 93 to 97, circa 93 to 97.
The coincidentally, the golden age of hip hop, which
is very appropriate for tonight's topic.
Yes. Well, what's funny is that my 16-year-old daughter, and not just her, but teenagers all over the place are dressing like when we were in high school, and it's super ridiculous. Like seeing stuff that like is the exact same stuff that I'm sure Sarah and other kids were wearing in high school back in our day. And it just is crazy to me.
Well, yeah, that's kind of why I kept this choker. Cause I was like, it's actually coming back. It's a little awkward for me to be wearing it at this age, but I was like, it's in now. And it is like girls are wearing. So, you're right. It has come back and it is weird to see. Oh gosh. Yeah. Makes me feel a little old, but whatever.
Are they pegging their pants again? Is that a thing yet?
No, I don't think.
Well, the pants.
I don't think pegging their pants.
Has that ever come back?
Well, the pants come cut in a slim way, so it's not. You don't need to do that whole maneuver.
No pegging required. That's nice.
Where you actually had to safety pin. Did you guys ever safety pin your pegs?
I safety pinned, and also you had to recalibrate your peg about 4 or 5 times a day, which was super frustrating. Yeah,
if you didn't get the pin right, you had to redo it like on a walk at lunch. You'd have to do it about 22 times, repeg your pants. So tough times.
It was hard out there. We were innovators,
My 5-year-old dressed up sort of like, do you guys remember Crisscross, where they had the backwards pants, backwards shirt?
Yes.
He likes to wear his pants backwards because, crisscross.
That's hip hop.
That's hip hop.
Wait, does he actually know? Does he know crisscross or just backwards day?
He just wants to wear backwards some days. And just makes me think
I don't mean to start this on a downer note, but have you guys ever looked up what happened to crisscross? It's a sad story.
No.
I don't know it exactly.
No.
I was curious just recently, actually, and I looked it up, and they both kind of had dark lives. One of them passed away.
Which one, Chris or Cross?
I don't know.
Good thing Christopher Cross actually is still alive, though.
Shout out to Chris Cross. Christopher Cross is holding it down, yes. And I think on the anniversary, he wears his clothes backwards to show respect.
Yeah.
The Chris Cross jump crew.
Episode 3, best easy listening artist.
Boom. Nailed it.
Oh, I don't know. You might have yeah.
Michael McDonald.
There's a lot in there. You think it's
the
easy,
yacht rock
but you start listening to those the yacht rock. Yeah.
Yacht rock.
Right. But for tonight, we're talking about rappers. Okay. Rappers, the best and the worst rappers. And I think our kids probably have very different opinions than we do on this subject.
100%.
This is tough.
100%.
You guys had fast food. I was like, I can do fast food quick. Rappers, I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm curious. Oh yeah, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah, we found that fast food was oddly not controversial. I feel like tonight's episode could be controversial.
Yes, it could be very long.
There could be
a very long episode.
I feel like
it's going to be a Joe Rogan podcast.
The Sweet 16. Yeah, if this was a Sweet 16, there's definitely a Cinderella story here somewhere. So someone's got to pick out of left field, I think.
I have a couple left field ones that I actually feel sincere about. They're not just, jokes. But
like, are they, without revealing too much, are they underground or are they kind of mainstream artists that everyone would recognize?
Well, I kind of use the same rule we had about fast food, where it's like, I feel like it doesn't count if most people haven't heard of them. And by most people, I don't mean my mom, but I mean like most people who like hip hop music. So
Fair.
I have some people on my list. Also, I don't have much underground hip hop knowledge. I think Joe, I don't know if this is fair to say, you guys can let me know if I'm overstepping, but I think Joey has the deepest and widest sort of hip hop knowledge. I say that with complete irony, understanding we're 4 white people like rating hip hop rappers. But I think we have a little cred because we came up, our coming of age was during the 90s and we loved hip hop music, right? And it was new to us and we loved it and anyways, I feel like it was funny because, I don't know what what first introduced you to rap music, but for me, I had 2 albums that I listened to on repeat on cassettes that you have to flip over. And it was NWA Straight Outta Compton.
Yes.
That is probably I don't think there's a single album of any genre of anything that I've listened to more than that album. That was just
wow.
Playing. I know every single word, every single sound drop in that. And then the other one was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. He's the DJ, I'm the rapper, which is 2 very different albums. But it was like, as a kid, I listened to one, then I listened to the other. Then sometimes I listened to one twice, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about coming up in the age of hip hop when we had to listen to it on a tape cassette. And so you really had to listen to songs. You had to do some actual work to skip through songs. So we had to listen to more albums and actual, concepts as opposed to just singles now. So I think, not to, say one era is better than another, but definitely there was more of a focus on production and like a whole album than there is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely.
What was your favorite album as a kid? What did you guys listen to? Yeah. All right.
Oh, me? Yeah. You know what? I know the first rap cassette tape that I ever bought was Eric B. and Rakim.
Oh, yeah. Rakim is on my list.
I was really little too, and I think I got that and maybe Lisa, and Colt Jam. Like my parents dropped me off and waited out front, and I went inside to Tower Records, and I came out with those 2 cassette tapes. And so that was like my first rap tape. And yeah, I loved it. I thought it was like super edgy, which is funny. I don't know. I have no idea how old I must have been, but that was the first rap album that I ever bought. And of course, I love DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. That was like, I don't know. And I also listened to NWA, but I think really that was from you guys later on when I was a little bit older. So that took some time. But yeah, so Eric B. and Rakim for me.
That's a pretty solid start.
Yeah, I think the first two CDs I bought were Public Enemy, Yo Bum Rush Your Show, and was NWA. Okay. It wasn't Straight Outta Compton. It was like the one after when Ice Cube wasn't in the band.
It's like 10,000 Miles of Running or something like that.
Yeah,
their second album
something like that.
I think that was like Ice Cube had left the group, and it wasn't
beef. There's beef.
Yeah, it lacked like the magic of the first album.
Can we also appreciate like? No, that was later on. Later on, Bacata Up.
Slam Bacata up.
So we have to explain these inside jokes. So
back, tell the story, Kurt.
Yeah. Well, you guys can pop in. So when Onyx first, and I'm sure young people have no idea who Onyx is, but they were popular for a quick minute back in the early 90s, and they had a album it was actually called Back the Fuck Up, but like it was like one word, like BACDAFUCUP. So anyway, and I have a history of like malprops and things like that. And so, and I'm generally convinced that I'm right and usually get proven wrong. But so I told Mason and Joey, and I was dead serious, that it was Bacata Up. It was the name of the album, and I couldn't be told wrong. And so
I think that one went on for years. We teased you about that.
So it's so interesting about that is I've known that joke forever, and I've gone along with it. And it's always funny, but I forgot the whole etymology of where it came from. I had no idea it came from that. It's amazing. I love that story. Thank you.
Yes. And then a funny little asterisk is I was down visiting Joey in LA and visiting my sister. My sister lived in this apartment building. And so Joey had come over, and we're going out to dinner or something like that. And we actually see one of the guys from Onyx going into my sister's apartment building. and we're like, me and Joey are like elbowing each other a little bit. Like, is that? And the guy looks at us, he goes, yeah. And Joey, being Joey, he goes, are you the guy from Onyx?
Did you write?
And he's like, oh yeah, man. Can you settle something for us? It's Bacata Up, isn't it?
How did you recognize a guy from Onyx? That's
it was simple. Kurt's pop culture recall, I think, is almost on a genius level. I've always said
that's
it.
True.
So
yeah,
like Kurt could see someone in an instant, can tell you like the chronology of his films, the filmology, like every film he's made, every part he's been in. It's amazing.
I remember when we used to quiz Kurt on like athletes, and we would name obscure linemen or like someone who was a third string tight end, and he could always tell you what college they went to, and then usually tell you like what high school they were from. It was weird.
I know for a fact Kurt knows every single mascot of every collegiate and professional team. That's a fact. No doubt.
Like rally fight song. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure on a drive back from LA, Mason had something, and I think baseball or football cards or something like that. And he almost for 5 hours went through like a whole group of football players and asked me where they went to school. And it was, that's how we passed 5 hours.
Oh yeah. No, it's impressive. It's impressive.
And I think it's important to point out that was pre-internet. So this wasn't, we didn't have a phone that we could look up at the answer. It was, we had to have, in order to like validate, we had actual cards that had people's like where they're from. And Kurt was right. And that was what was impressive about it. I don't know how you knew that stuff. Amazing.
So my first two albums were the same albums, were NWA Straight Outta Compton and DG Jazzy Jeff from the Fresh Prince. And the specific song I remember was Parents Just Don't Understand. And the thing about hip hop that I love so much, and I think it's important to recognize, is that we grew up in a time where hip hop was kind of a counterculture. It was not mainstream. It used a lot of dirty language. If you recall, they would put parental advisory stamps on the tapes.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of illicit, and you wanted to get involved in it, and that's why hip hop was so cool. I don't know how it is now, but that's why hip hop is near and dear to me.
That's true. I remember feeling how like new and exciting it was. And I have this vivid memory. I was at my grandmother's house and I was listening to the DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. And I wanted my parents, I was like, just stop and listen to this song. And I was trying to play them the music and get them to listen to it and understand like how amazing and different this genre was and new. And they're just like, yeah. You know, they weren't interested in hearing it, but I was in love with it and was like very much felt cool listening to that.
By the way, hip hop has, I don't know, I can't confirm this, but I read this somewhere. Hip hop is now outsold rock and roll for the first time. I think it was last year or this year. And that's pretty notable. I mean, you know, that's pretty incredible.
I have a memory.
Is it because it's that good?
I would think so.
Hey.
There it is. I have a memory in summertime.
Yeah.
I was pretty young too, and my neighbors would carry around a boombox, come over with the boombox, playing Mac Dre Too Hard for the fucking radio.
Oh yeah.
And put it in the middle of the table, and we would play cards all day. Like that was like the summer day. And I mean, I was still young, but it felt, because they couldn't play it on the radio. They did eventually and bleeped it. But we also thought it was so edgy and so wild. Like I was like, wow, we're listening to this. We're home alone. We're listening to this. We're playing cards. Like this is so crazy. I just remember thinking that was the first song I remember thinking was like, whoa, I can't believe they're saying this. Because I was pretty young when that came out too. And we would listen to it over and over and over all summer long.
Oh yeah.
And boomboxes were cool because you could take them and like play your music and kind of show other people what you were listening to, right? I remember, Joe, I had this little red tape player that had one speaker, and we would put it at the bottom of the driveway, and like we would play wiffle ball or something in the court, and the neighbors would come out, and I'd be like, yeah, they can hear we're playing rap music. It was very, very edgy.
No, it was. Hip hop was super edgy. It was more edgy than rock and roll at the time for me. I mean, punk was edgy. Hip hop was edgy, and punk and hip hop actually intersected at some point, and they did some stuff together. But I feel like hip hop for me was always a counterculture that I could kind of be part of.
So how do you guys want to talk about this? Because I have like so many people I want to just like mention and discuss. I feel like it wouldn't be justice to just go down a list and be like, here's my top blah blah blah.
I feel like we should have a list, and it's we could have 10, 15 names, but give us your favorite rappers for whatever reason, right? And then reserve your top one or two for the final segment.
Okay. It's so hard because I feel like
there's songs, there's albums, there's rappers. Like I was like, but we're going all category. I mean, everything aside, best rappers, like top 5
all time.
If a song transcends a genre and the song is like is your favorite rapper, I think that's fair.
I'll tell you what though, I did not have any problem whatsoever picking my favorite or who I thought was the best.
Same. It took me,
I have a hard time believing that any of you guys convinced me that there's anyone else who deserves to be named the best more than my top pick. So that's where I'm coming in. Like I have all these people that I love, but then I have people, and I feel like at least a couple of you will disagree with me on my person. But
I feel like, the only thing I had to really, without giving out way too much, the only thing I had to really deal with was just the breadth of work of an artist. Like, is that important? How important is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it
for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say because that way it kind of gets into the sports kind of thing too, where it's like you look at a career and it's like, there's some guys who I'm sure we're going to talk about, but where it was like their ceiling is so high, like their talent and what they did was so high, but then the length at which they did it is so short that it makes it a little more difficult for someone who was at an extremely high level for 20, 25 years. You know what I mean? Like, how do you compare a short hot versus prolonged, still pretty hot, almost to the same level, but maybe not, that maybe the ceiling wasn't quite as high. So that was a little bit of a struggle to me. Yeah, picking mine was definitely more difficult than yours, Mace, for sure.
Well, I'll put a name out there that I think is nobody's going to pick as their best, but is one who had some of the best performances and then also some of the worst, and where he could be on either list. You guys might know who I'm talking about.
I know.
It's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
right?
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah. So like Snoop Dogg came out on The Chronic and on Doggy Style, and those two albums are legendary. His performances took the show, and he was incredible. And then also, you all know his like later career. And then I feel like he's also redeemed himself a bit. Like he did some cool stuff with Pharrell, but then he also did some stuff with Katy Perry, which is actually funnily, my 10-year-old daughter told me that he's one of her favorites because of his performance on California Girls with Katy Perry. So like Snoop Dogg is amazing. He deserves mention, but I also feel like he's had some really bad performances too. And so like he doesn't cut the mustard. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. And I think that it pretty much a consensus would agree with you. He's an icon, but maybe he doesn't have, he didn't transition in his later years, but he has made a small comeback recently doing a lot of stuff with artists and doing like, small little, quick little cameos, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. He's an authentic dude, which I like about him, right? His personality it shines, and he's a charismatic and has done a lot, I think, where some people just kind of fade away. Like he's a personality, and his character is bigger, I think, than even being just a rapper. So
I think this is a good format, and I think we should go with that. I think let's throw out a name, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just pop in on Snoop too. I think you're right. It's funny. And to kind of echo along with like the albums, I think I've seen Snoop live 3 times, and they've been all over the place. All over the place. Like he's been probably my top 10 like live shows of all time, and also probably in my top 10 worst shows of all time, where like he clearly didn't give a shit. He wanted to get the hell out of there, like was just picking up the paycheck. And then he actually opened for 311 and he killed. Like it was amazing. He had a live band and it was amazing. And so it's just like, I think that kind of encapsulate. He's just like, when he's really good, he's really good. And when he's really bad, he's pretty terrible.
You bring up an interesting point, which is live performances of hip hop, because hip hop is my favorite genre. It's my go-to music, but I also generally hate live hip hop performances unless they have a live band. So it's one of the reasons why like the Roots are so amazing to see, because they've always been a live band. And then, but sometimes when you're watching even a big performance, I don't know. Do you guys agree? I've always felt like hip hop didn't translate very well to when it's just a guy rapping with like a hype people around them running around on the stage. It's always just felt stupid. Whereas when you're listening to it in your car or your headphones or at home, it's much more like evocative and emotional. I think. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
that's the dirty little secret of music. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
I mean, so
the best hip hop concert I ever saw had a live band, and it was Lauryn Hill. And I'll just throw out by far. It was when she was doing Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and that concert was absolutely phenomenal, amazing. And then I saw her later, and it was the worst concert I've ever seen in my entire life. But she did have a live band, and so from hip hop, I might say it's the second best. Kanye might be up there too for best concert, but she had a live band and it made a huge difference.
Was that at Jack London Square?
It was at the Paramount in Oakland.
Paramount.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah. But, so, I mean, for live, I feel like, I think you're right. I mean, for the most part, I will wholeheartedly agree that a live band makes a big difference, but, there's people we'll talk about today who I've seen who don't necessarily need a live band with them, whose stage show or production, I think, has made it where like you don't notice it as much.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a name out there, and in terms of flow and listenability, that's a word. I think he's one of the best to ever do it, but I don't think he's aged that well. And that name is Common. I think Common has one of the best flows. His music is some of the most listenable. Again, I don't know if that's a word. Music there is. But recently, I've kind of revisited him, not his older albums, but his more current releases, and I just don't like it.
Yeah,
I like Common. I love his voice. The sound of his voice.
Oh, it's great.
So good. And that's why I think he's transitioned to a career as like a spokesperson, right? It was natural.
Yeah, it's not even when he says like hello, it sounds like he's like giving a speech no matter what he says. Like if he's like, hey, would you like to come in? Yeah, I can't, like, it's like a crazy, I remember, was it the Like Water for Chocolate was his like that album? I remember Joey, we used to listen to that all the time. Amazing album. But I hate, it's not, I don't like to critique people too much, but now I kind of find his music boring. I don't know what else to say. Like, I'm just kind of bored. And I'm like, oh, I want to like it because I remember loving that album. I still think he's got a great voice. He's really talented. But yeah, it's kind of boring now.
There's a pretty good album. Now, it's not Common, but it's Amerigo Gazaway. I think that's how you say his name. And he did a mashup with Common and Stevie Wonder. And I think you can see it on YouTube. It's excellent. He also did a mashup with Mos Def and Marvin Gaye, which is one of my favorite albums ever. So,
all right,
check it out.
Oh, that sounds good. I have not heard that.
Nice.
I haven't either.
All right, Sarah.
So I'll put a name out there. Oh yeah, Sarah, you throw out a name.
Oh gosh, I have like so many names listed here. All right, so somebody. This is not like going old school. This is Lil Wayne. I throw out Lil Wayne because I like a lot of his music, like a lot. And there's songs that I'm like, wow, these are amazing. I don't know. But I also feel like he has a lot of stuff that I can't really listen to on certain albums. Like I can't listen to his albums from A to Z. So I'm like, where does that leave it? You know, there's something for me when an artist, I can listen to an album all the way from beginning to end. And maybe that's just my old school, like what Joey was talking about when we had to appreciate an album and listen through it all. So that's my one thing with, I love Lil Wayne. And so I have him as one of my top artists, but I just don't feel like he has an album that I'm like, that's the one that I can listen to all the way through. I don't know. How do you guys feel?
Strong choice. Strong.
I have Lil Wayne on my list. I think for a long time I didn't like him, but I never listened to him. And then I remember I actually like sat down to listen to him, and I was like, he's pretty good. Like his lyrics are clever and they're complex and they're interesting, and he kind of tells stories. I think as far as like all the littles in hip hop, he's probably the best, right? Except I don't know if he's the first. There was Lil Troy. I remember. You remember him?
Oh yeah, Lil Troy.
Be a baller?
No. Oh, I know the song.
But Lil Wayne's good. But I agree. He has some great songs. I think my favorite Lil Wayne song is the one about, it's like where he's talking to a cop. I forget what's that song where it's a lady cop.
Mrs. Officer.
Oh yeah, that was like
Officer,
his big.
Yeah, I love that song. He's funny and fun and kind of like
we
got it. Yeah. Like a cop.
Another guy that deserves mention. I don't think he's number one. I hope I'm not spoiling it, but in terms of flow, Ludacris, he deserves some props. He deserves props.
Yes, he's fun. Another person I think in that zone is 2 Chainz. I don't think everyone's and he was gonna pick 2 Chainz. I love 2 Chainz. He's so fun, and he's just like he makes me happy. I love his songs.
I like 2 Chainz. When he first came out, I wanted to be like, I don't like this guy, but I do. And all of his songs, like I'm like, I like him. I like 2 Chainz. I like the
sound of his voice, and he's got attitude, and he's got swag, but he's kind of fun and cool, and 2 Chainz is awesome. He's been around for a while. Like he's stuck around.
Here's our first disagreement. I hate 2 Chainz.
You hate 2 Chainz?
Really?
Not. He's on my worst list, guys. He's on my worst list.
Wow.
Not. Well, I can't think of a 2 Chainz song that I would want to listen to. Like I would never pull up Spotify and go, oh, let me hear a 2 Chainz song. Like that's never something I would say.
Really?
Wow.
Really?
Do you like Atlanta hip hop?
I mean, some like, I mean, if we're, I mean, and I'll use it to throw out a name. Well, two names. I mean, I like Outkast. So
Okay.
the best ever.
Yes.
I have Andre
Outkast
and Big Boy together because I mean, Andre, I think, is on everyone's list. I feel like Big Boy does not get the due he deserves. Like, I think he is one of the most underrated MCs of all time, just because he's been next to Andre. But I think obviously together, it's freakish how good they are. But I mean, when we're talking Atlanta, like it's kind of all over the board for me. Like some of the stuff, like I really like. Some of the stuff I'm kind of, but I'm not gonna go crazy over Atlanta hip hop.
What
my
about,
favorite 2 Chainz is birthday? It's your birthday.
What about
Ask me what I do and who I do it for? I love 2 Chainz, but
what about a name? What about a name like Mac Miller? Maybe not on someone's list.
Or Logic.
Logic, yeah.
Logic is a guy who, like Mac Miller, I think has a lot of skill and ability, and for me, they're the same. They're like good rappers.
I feel like Busta Rhymes should be on everyone's list. That's my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like Busta Rhymes, but yeah, he's
unique.
Yeah, he's got his own style.
Yeah.
I guess everyone has their own style, but he has a very specific style.
I don't know that they do, Sarah. I don't know that they do.
I feel like E40 should be on everyone's top 25 list. I mean, because he changed a lot of hip hop. So, and he has some iconic songs.
Yeah. Too Short. We go into Bay
Area.
Yeah, he's Bay.
Yeah, Bay Area.
Joey and I have met E40 several times.
What was he like?
He's
just one
amazing.
Just one of the gentlemen's, just a real gentleman. Like I never met someone that's that gracious and personable and friendly, and I just totally blew my mind. He's the Captain Save-A-Ho guy, and he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. So
he's lovely. He's like he'll spend time and just have it. So we met him in the context of we were doing some photography, and he just kind of like would hang out, have a chat, and talk and visit. Sometimes when you're around celebrity people, they can be, they're always on and they're kind of like making sure that they're not talking to the help or this or that. Yeah. And he just kind of would hang out, talk a little shit. He seemed genuinely like Joey had some deep knowledge, and he seemed genuinely impressed and honored that somebody
Mason
was so knowledgeable about his catalog.
Mace, it's not the first rapper I've met. I mean, Kurt's.
I know you met the guy from Onyx.
I'm cool now. Every time I see a rapper,
Yeah. You're like,
I have to confess.
Mason, did you tell him about our experience seeing him when we were 15 years old?
I don't think I remember that experience. Please enlighten me. No, I don't remember that.
How can you not remember? So for the listeners, we all used to live in the Bay Area where Mason and Sarah still live. And so I had won tickets to a concert on the local hip hop station. And the show was, the headliner was MC Light.
MC Light, I remember that.
What was E40 and the Click was opening up.
Be legit.
Shut up. He opened for them?
Yes. Which is super weird. Like when you think about it. Yes. So it was at this club. Like, I don't even know how we got in. It was probably should have been like 21 plus. Like, I don't remember.
Yes.
And so we dressed like we're going to like a high school. Right. And so, it was by all the strip clubs in San Francisco. And me and Mason are dressed like, we're going to like our high school prom in the suburbs. Like Mason had a sweater on. My father and mother dropped us off, went and had dinner in San Francisco, and then we're going to pick us up. And so we go in, it's like a 2-drink minimum. We have no idea what that means. And we're freaking out because we got like $10 between us probably. And so we're buying like, Shirley Temples or something like that. And, there's like weed and drinking and everything going on. And this was completely new to us. And so this was like a small club, and so like the Click and E40 are just like walking around us, and we are just like deer in headlights, wide-eyed, and just freaking out a little bit. And so I mean, I have vivid memories to this day about being, and I think we were there's maybe two other white people in that whole show. So it was, it will always stick in my mind.
I don't remember that he was the like opening act. I remember MC Light. I remember going to that show with you. But I don't think maybe I didn't know who E40 was at the time. I
had no idea. I had no idea who it was. So yeah.
I mean, I had, I think it was the E40 and the Click. It had their tape. I think, what was their first album? I don't know. I had it. I was bumping it in my 1974 VW hatchback. That was my.
I remember that.
I remember that car.
You had to drive with the windows down because they'd freeze up and the what is it called? The defroster wouldn't work. So we'd have to roll the windows down and just like, I don't know, why couldn't we just wipe the window down? Was that just too hard? Just like
I feel like, I mean, it was an older car. You didn't want to overwipe it.
Did it have a hole in the floor?
No, that was my 1976 Datsun B210, which had a rusted out cabin floor. You could see it was like the Flintstones. You could see the road.
I think I merged those two cars together. I don't know. I thought they were one.
I used to whip that car around like a little race car, just whip it around the East Bay. I loved it.
It was cool. It was like mustard yellow, right?
Yeah, it was. It felt like a real analog car, like no perks. It just went. You turned it on and you could either go or stop. And that's there's nothing else. No AC, nothing.
So Joe, I know my brother got very into like building high performance automobiles. Yes. And his car, like the car that he built around was a Datsun 240Z. It was the Z, but cars. Yeah, he would put, it went through so many iterations, but it built like these 1,500 horsepower versions of the Datsun 240Z. And I think his claim to fame at some point was it was like the fastest, definitely in the United States. Maybe it was like the second fastest Datsun 240Z, which apparently is a thing in the world. So shout out to my brother and his fast Datsun. But Datsun, I guess, makes good cars, is all I'm trying to say.
They did make good cars.
They did. And then they became Nissan. And I don't know why, but for another conversation, I guess.
Brought to you by Nissan.
Okay, I'm going to put a name out there that I don't think is on. I'm going to give you a name that I don't think is on anybody's list. Maybe. But who I think is amazing and super talented, and it's Little Dicky. Okay. Do you guys disagree with me? I think Little Dicky is so fucking cool. If you listen to his music, like somehow he figures out how to be funny, thoughtful, emotional, raw, interesting. And then he doesn't go everywhere either. He just is like, he did one album, which I thought was great. And then he went and made a TV show, which was unique and special and interesting and emotional and was great. And then every once in a while he puts a video out and I'm like, that guy's fucking cool. And he's super talented. And I feel like he deserves a mention.
Yeah.
I don't think he's anybody's best.
He's a really good artist, I believe.
Yeah,
Sarah, I'm sorry.
Artist.
You were going to say something?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I like want to hate Little Dicky, but I can't. Like, he's good. And I watched the show. The show was really good. Like, I was like, I like the show.
The show's incredible.
I like that. Yeah, and he's really talented. So it's like one of those things where when I used to hear it, I'd be like annoyed at first, but he's really good. Yeah. So he's not.
It's unexpected. It's unexpected how good he is. Like you kind of, I get what you're saying. Like it feels like really simple what he's doing. And then when you take it all in, you're like, wow, he put a lot of thought into this.
Let's not fuck around here. He doesn't belong in the Mount Rushmore of rappers.
No, of course not. I just felt like I just felt like I wanted to put his name out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll throw another name out there that is newer. And to me, he's had a meteoric rise and has to be near the top.
Okay.
Is not my top, but is Kendrick Lamar.
Well,
yes.
Well, that's my guy. That's my pick.
That's your number one.
That's your pick.
That's my number one with the Undisputed.
Wow.
I don't.
And the only thing I had to really deal with was the length of his career, because right now he's flying as close to the sun as hot as you can get, as I've seen any rapper ever. And he's doing it he's not prolific. He's doing it in a way that they used to do it. And he's super successful. And now he's doing production. He's my favorite hip hop artist of all time.
Wow.
Really?
Wow. He's in my top 10 on my list here that I've created.
I think he's incredibly talented. I love he makes albums, not just songs. And and I like his tonality and what he has to say. He's like,
he's blown me away. He's blown me, and I love hip hop. I've loved hip hop for a long time, and but he's my guy.
He is a pure rapper.
We just got to it. We got right into
it.
There.
And he's a rapper's rapper. Yeah, I think for sure. I think he thinks in that full production way. He thinks through how everything is going to sound. Who is going to be on there, like what message, especially after I think probably his first couple albums, like I think he realized pretty quickly, like he was speaking for, a big group of people, and like the message he's trying to get across. And then, even if you look at the Black Panther soundtrack, that thing is frigging amazing. Like nobody talks about soundtracks anymore. And like, I still listen to, that's like the only soundtrack of the last decade I listened to.
I feel like, when you're if you want to relate it to, like athletics again, like, when you're talking about an athlete and you're seeing them in their prime, right? But you're seeing them matched against careers of other people. I think we might be seeing Kendrick Lamar at his prime right now. And it's, his prime for me is as good as anyone's.
I don't disagree.
Yep.
And like how amazing. So I have Dr. Dre on my list because I think Dr. Dre is really talented as a rapper and obviously as a producer. I don't think he's the best, but that if you think about the people that Dr. Dre has introduced to the world, like how fucking good is that guy's picker, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like starting with NWA and then finding Snoop Dogg and Eminem and Kendrick Lamar and like that guy knows quality. And so I feel like some accolades need to be thrown his way, even though his rap skills are okay, right? But he knows talent for sure.
Oh yeah,
because he found Kendrick like as a teenager, I think.
Yeah,
as a young kid in Compton, and was like, dude, I heard there was a. Did you guys ever watch there was a like a making of the NWA movie, and they were interviewed Kendrick because he remembers as a boy going down when they were shooting a video down the street from where he grew up, and he met Dr. Dre like as a little boy and told him, I want to be a rapper and I love what you do. And it was a cool story to hear Kendrick telling it, because it all came full circle, obviously. And it was just like one of those rare, like, oh, that's sweet.
That's cool. Hey, Mason, that's cool. You forgot about Eminem. He also kind of.
I said Eminem. Yeah.
Oh, you said Eminem? Okay.
Yeah. Eminem.
Yeah.
I have Eminem on my list. I don't know if anyone's going to make a case that he's number one.
No,
I think that he's in my top three. When I was like in my 30s, 20s, Eminem could do no wrong. He had an amazing like set of albums. His first like 3 or 4 albums were just phenomenal. I think that there's, if we were talking about lyricists, pure lyricists, he maybe is the best. I feel like in the last like 5 or 10 years, he's gotten, I don't know if he has OCD or something, but he has gotten like more and more complex with his lyrics, but the music has become more boring. I don't know if that makes sense. If you guys have listened to his current music, and so for him, like when he was more free and emotional, maybe emotionally disturbed, his music was just crazy and unreal. And then he got to this place where it was just very like mechanical, and it's exceptional. Like the complexity of it's exceptional, but I get tired of listening to it. And I don't want to hear it the way I used to. I used to just listen to his albums back to back because they were so fun and just I couldn't believe the rhyme combinations he was coming up with. So shout out to Eminem. But I don't know if anyone else is going to make the case that he's number one. I do feel like I think anyone would have a hard time arguing he doesn't belong in like top 5. But
he doesn't belong in my top 5.
Whoa!
I think he's really talented,
been an Eminem hater.
but he's so angry. Like I just like when I know that doesn't like it doesn't reflect how talented someone is, but like when I listen to his music, I'm just like it's so angry that now I can't listen to it anymore. Like I'm just like I'm over it.
It's
like,
one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I've like been disappointed because I felt like early on in his career, his anger was more. I don't know. It felt more authentic, and then now he's just. I think he's just mad.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
like
don't
he's
know
just yelling
because he's actually. Yeah, I don't know if it's because he's actually mad or because that's who his like persona has become, and I don't know.
I you know, the kind of hip hop I listened to, his production was kind of different than what I would. I think I was used to a different kind of production style than what he kind of focused on. I respect it,
and I don't think
I respected him. You know, obviously he's an amazing lyricist.
I don't think it's aged well. I don't like when I put on Eminem's, and I feel like he hasn't had the evolution that you kind of hope for somebody like that.
Right.
And it's like, and it's like at the gym, I feel like that, and maybe that's why, because like you hear it at the gym all the time, you know what I mean? And there's like certain songs, like Lose Yourself is always going to be on some gym playlist. And it's like, I feel like you've heard some of that stuff, ad nauseum. And it is like for a certain subset of person too, like it still holds like a special place, but yeah, I just don't think it, I think you're right for whatever, how many 4 or 5 albums, it was crazy high level and obviously lyricist.
I remember Kurt. Yeah. I got to say one thing about Eminem. I have a memory. You remember when I remember being in your truck and we drove down at like midnight when his album came out and we're listening to it on the way back. And I remember the first time I ever heard the song Stan, right? With Dido. And it was this that blew my mind because I felt like that like invented this new form of storytelling that was, and it was just like cross genre. And it was this beautiful song that was also had this, it was like a story that had this crazy twist ending. And like he was inventing shit and doing something totally different at a time when hip hop was really in that was this moment where I feel like it was expanding into all these different genres that now exist. And that's one of the reasons why for me, he's like a real one. And he kind of like, because he was inventing and creating new paths for people. In addition to his lyricism, he was experimenting with different types of sounds and music, things like that too.
I feel like Eminem is, in a sense, it's kind of a microcosm for hip hop in general. Is, you have a small window in hip hop to be kind of like that persona and that kind of style, and you can't really age, and very few rappers can really age. So Eminem's still trying to be very creative, still trying to put out great material, but hip hop doesn't age well. I mean, when you're in your 40s, you're not, unless you're Jay-Z, shout out, so probably on someone's list. Unless you're Jay-Z, you just don't age well in hip hop. So Eminem is now competing against young Eminem. It's tough.
Can we have a spoiler? Does anyone have Jay-Z as their top pick? Because I'll
not as my top pick.
Okay.
But he's
top three.
Top 5. I have top 5.
Top 10. Okay. I feel like Jay-Z. I like Jay-Z.
Don't say it.
No. I like Jay-Z, and I feel like he's talented and skilled, and he has a great catalog of music. But like I've never found. I never want to listen to Jay-Z. I don't know. I just kind of like what should I listen to?
Revisit Reasonable Doubt, his first album. It's a classic, one of those, what does Source give out? 5 mic classic albums. It's his best album.
I always had a hard time because he's one of these people who you look at any list, he's always at the top. And so I feel like, I mean, I guess I'm saying I feel like he's a little overrated. Like I think he's amazing, but I also think there are lots of people who are better than him and more interesting to listen to.
Sure.
And so I probably like him less because he's always been so popular. He did a song with Eminem. I don't know if you've ever heard Renegade. And I remember listening to that song and being like, dude, Eminem was a guest MC on this song and like really just stole the show and was so much more like talented and had so much more craftsmanship that Jay-Z did on his own track, which was, I thought was
Nas
weird.
In a beef track with Jay-Z actually pointed out that Eminem killed him in his own track. So
I remember that. Yeah.
It's documented.
Nas requires mention as well.
Another name.
Well, no.
Yes.
Nas is number 2. Here's my top 3, guys, since you already fucking said it. Sorry.
Okay.
It's Kendrick Lamar number 1, Nas number 2, Jay-Z number 3, and probably Mos Def number 4. That's it. Tupac 5, Biggie 6, and that's my list.
So Joey's dropping names now.
All right. Wow.
I know. He just took the whole bag and just threw it out there.
Well, I mean, Kurt, you named Kendrick, then Mace, Jay-Z, and I was like, that's my list.
I really didn't expect any. I didn't expect you to have Kendrick on your number 1.
Oh yeah,
I didn't either. I feel like he belongs in the conversation though, for sure.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to throw out another name.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a top for anyone, like top number 1. But anyways, someone that I do like, A$AP Rocky. I don't know if anyone else.
Love him.
He's awesome. Yeah, he's awesome.
All right, he's up there for me. So
he feels like a utility player to me. But I love his music.
He plays around with auto-tune and his voice in really cool ways. I like what he does.
And he samples music well, like the choices that he makes for like sampling or I don't know.
Soulful. Yeah.
One of my favorite hip hop memories, Sarah, is when Darren introduced me to the A$AP Rocky song, I Got a Fucking Problem, right?
That is the best. I love that song.
I remember Darren was like so amazed with that song that he just wanted to play it all the time. and he would just be like, listen to the song. I'm like, I heard it. I love it. And he played it again. He's like, I'm going to play it again. That song is fun. And I think actually that song has a lot that has A$AP Rocky. I think Drake's on it. I think.
Drake's a good one. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Does anyone have Drake?
2 Chainz is on it too. Kendrick Lamar and 2 Chainz are on that song because I had it written down.
That's right. Yep, and Kendrick. Yeah, so that was
problems.
Yeah.
Well, so speaking of those names, so I saw this is probably circa 2014, maybe 2014, 15. I saw Drake was the headliner, and it was A$AP Rocky and Kendrick were the openers, but they were still very new. So like now that's a crazy show. And then it was just kind of like Drake and then a couple openers and who were newer and you were kind of excited about. And so it was, phenomenal.
In terms of flow and just how easy he is as a listen to, Drake is really unmatched. I mean, he makes songs and just like they're just easy to listen to. You can listen to him in your car.
Yes.
Listen to him with your kids. Listen to him anywhere.
Yeah. His volume of work is also like that guy is on every fucking song ever. Although so my knock on Drake is that I don't ever want to just listen to Drake. Like I love him as a guest on a song. And I feel like that's where he really shines, where he just comes in with this smooth, fun flow. It's bouncing all over the place. But like, I don't want to listen to a Drake album.
So the great thing about a Drake album is, and this is kind of like the secret menu here. It's corporate friendly. You could play it at any corporate event. Most of it is not. It's not really bad to play. No bad words.
Were you like up on them when Drake and Meek Mill had that beef? Like that's one thing where I think Drake really shined when he did that song Back to Back. That's like one of my favorite Drake songs, which was, I don't know that it was actually a freestyle, but he did it in a very short turnaround, right? Where they had this beef. And then like the next day he released this track and then he released Back to Back the next day. And it was like, oh shit, that was good. That was good.
I appreciate the effort. He put time into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look up any artist, so Drake has collaborated with like every single
He's
artist.
like Kevin Bacon, right?
It's
You could do that
insane,
game
yeah.
with Kevin Bacon
Like,
with Drake.
what?
6 degrees of Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin Bieber, guys. He's done some good stuff with Drake. And I like Justin Bieber, and as a talented kid, he's not really a rapper, but
His
a talented
SNL
musician.
performance like this year, whatever that was, like a few months ago, was amazing.
He's
Justin
been
Bieber.
getting really like I like his music. I gotta say, and I saw him. I think it was on the New York, the morning show, whatever. And he rapped over that. It was that Otis Redding song that I think Jay-Z did, and he did like a freestyle on it. And I was like, damn, Justin Bieber has flow.
Which Justin is more influential now? Justin Timberlake or Justin Bieber?
That's a good question. I think Justin Bieber, but Justin Timberlake still got it. My wife with her sister went to a Justin Timberlake show. I think it was maybe like a year ago, right before the quarantine deal. And they sat up front and had a real close seat to the stage. And my wife swears that like JT and her had a eye lock connection moment. She's like, it was the best performance I've ever seen. It was so amazing. So JT's still got it.
He's so cool. I love that guy.
He's talented. He's one of those guys, kind of like what's the guy who did I'm blanking. He does a 21 karat. He's not a rapper, but he does like.
You talking about Bruno Mars?
Bruno Mars. Yes, he's like a multi-talented artist. Bruno, yes. You know what's so interesting? And I know Bruno's not he's not in the rap conversation, but I heard a story. I was listening to Howard Stern, and it was the producer, I think Mark Ronson, who does all those songs, and he was telling a story about that song and how they had the hook for like 2 years, and every time they would get together to produce some music, they'd be like, "You want to work on that song?" And they could never figure it out. How to get the song, because it just didn't make any sense. All they had was a hook. And then at some point they figured out like a bridge that connected it all. I don't even know what it was, but then they wrote the song that day and it was done. And I always love hearing stories about how songs get written, because you think that people started at the beginning and wrote the song, but there's always these weird paths that people take to get to what we come to know as the final product. It's pretty amazing.
Have you guys heard the new him with Anderson .Paak, the Silk Sonic song?
Anderson .Paak. Yeah, I love that guy. Yeah,
I don't know this. I have to look it up.
Bruno Mars he's a gifted singer. He really is. There's another way to say it.
Oh,
yeah,
entertainer.
I think Anderson .Paak could be like he feels to me like Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah,
like a few years ago. Like they've
collaborated.
Up. Yeah.
They've collaborated. Actually, Anderson .Paak and Kendrick Lamar have collaborated quite a bit.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm gonna make my case, because I think it's going to be controversial, and I think you guys are going to disagree with me, and I'm going to argue with you. So the person I picked for my number one is, and it's based, and I think for me there was like no question, no one else made sense. He's an innovator. He's evocative, creative, creates complex. He makes albums. Every single one of his albums is an evolution, is completely new. You don't ever listen to like his music and it sounds the same. He's experimenting. He has production skills. So he's emotionally raw, vulnerable. His lyrics are clever and funny and interesting. And for me, I also have these like really emotional relationships with all his albums, because like, I remember I was going through like my divorce, and it would like gave me this comfort. I was traveling, listening to this. And when this music came out, he launched a CD the same day as like 50 Cent. And there was this beef, and it was like, who's going to win the best album?
Y'all know who this is, right?
Okay. And then in like I have these memories of happy periods where it's just like his music just made me feel so great. And when I remember Joey, once we were traveling, we were in Europe, and we had been on this long trip, and we're kind of like fighting a little bit. And then a song came on the radio, this song he did with Estelle, and it just made me feel like homesick, but also like happy. And he's also someone that my mom knows who he is, right? So he's like, he has transcended. and he is a transcendent artist. And that's why the person I think is the best is Master P. Just kidding. it's Kim Kardashian's ex. Kim Kardashian's ex, Kanye West, is the best rapper. Hands down, period, no argument. You cannot convince me anyone else is a better, has a better career as a rapper, has more talent. And I know everybody hates him because he wore a MAGA hat and he's crazy and he said some stupid shit and he has an egomaniac. But I also feel like that's contributed to a lot of his art. And I will say, I don't love all his albums. Some of his albums, like 808 and Heartbreaks, I don't really like the album at all. But I appreciate that he was trying something new and doing a different sound. And then he would come back and do something like fucking Life of Pablo, which is just
amazing.
I don't know any album that's more musical and interesting than that. So that's my vote.
Hey, solid choice.
I know, Kurt, I think you don't like Kanye. I think you hate Kanye. Am I right?
Me?
Yeah.
You're kidding me, right?
You like Kanye?
Setup?
Oh no, I thought you hated Kanye for some reason.
No.
I've been a Kanye apologist for about as long as he's been around.
That's a great word. You have to be if you like Kanye, you have to be an apologist. You have to be I know he's an asshole, but you have to listen to his music.
It's true. It's so true.
I mean, the average Kanye listener, maybe the average person sees Kanye the man and his actions and doesn't really understand. If you don't dive into his music, you don't really understand.
Right.
Don't understand.
Right. Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
So I have a confession.
Go, Sarah.
Oh yeah, he's mine too. It wasn't there was
have you heard about the good news?
Well, Mason gave his whole spiel. I just had to let it run, but I had to really think. I mean, there was a lot that went into to consideration. I don't love every single one of his albums, but Mason said it well. It's as an innovator and pushing boundaries, and he has many albums that you can listen to from beginning to end. Some maybe not, but he's got both.
You have to.
Yeah, and he keeps putting things out, so you just don't know where he's going to go. And he definitely pushes the lines and the limits from an artistic perspective. Some of the songs he's done, what was it? The album where he I think it was on SNL. He performed Black Skinhead and the other song from that album. And when he performed those two songs, nothing had sounded like those two songs before ever. In that performance, you were like, wait, what is he doing?
That's on Yeezus, I think.
I think so. Yeah. You were just what's he going to do? And it was almost do I like it or do I not like it? I don't know. And anyways.
Yeah.
You said it all, Mason. I can't really.
Do you know what else he discovered? Yeah.
Well, what?
I looked it up. These are the people that he sort of discovered or presented to the world. Chance the Rapper.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Amazing.
He's
2
amazing.
Chainz, which I think we had some mixed things with. Nicki Minaj, Travis Scott, Kid Cudi, who I know you like, Joe.
I like Kid Cudi.
Tyler, the Creator, Chief Keef, who apparently is good. I don't know who he is, but I saw him on a list. Big Sean and J. Cole, J. Cole, a lot of people like J. Cole. He's okay. He's on a lot of lists though. When I was looking.
J. Cole is he's solid. I mean, his production and he's got the best musicians around him making the best production value music.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had it was almost 2 number ones for me.
Okay.
So you might as well put Kanye as my one, and I'll talk about the other one in a minute. But yeah, I mean Kanye has for sure. I mean, so many full albums that almost every track is pretty amazing. And yeah, I don't love every song, but I mean, especially in today's day and age where that's fairly rare to have so many songs where you're digging it and where an album feels like a full theme, it's thematic all the way through. It's not just a bunch of songs mashed together or, you're releasing EPs or whatever it might be. It's, it's full. And yeah, clearly he puts so much thought and effort into what the sound is like, what the tonality, what the, just sonically overall, like, and you read the stories and he's still wanting to go back, and now with Spotify, like, that he can go back and, adjust tracks and make them sound better and add a little symbol here that he wanted to add. But, and two, from a, we were talking about the live perspective. So I've seen him 3 times. So, Watch the Throne is like my second favorite concert of all time. I was fortunate enough to be like during that show, they had like a second stage towards the back of the floor. And so I was lucky enough to be like right next to it. And, that show just was one of those transcendent, like, leave your body. This is, like you're seeing something that is next worldly and then just even I'm, seeing him, I saw Kendrick open for him on whatever that was, the Yeezus, where he had Jesus come out and all that stuff. I mean, he was amazing there. Again, didn't need a band, but he obviously had enough theatrics and stuff like that to make up for that. So yeah, I'm right on board with that as a topic.
Who was your other person? You said you had another one.
And so I've gone back this week and I don't know if you guys did too, went back and listened to a bunch of people just to kind of like refresh and see like, stuff I hadn't maybe listened to. And then obviously there's been some other like films and podcasts and stuff. So that have gone into his life a little bit and kind of dug in deeper. So for me, it's Biggie. Notorious B.I.G.
That was my number 2. That was
yeah.
So Kurt, did you
go ahead?
Did you happen to catch that recent doc on Netflix about him? Did you watch that?
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing because it talked about how he had a kind of a jazz upbringing, and you didn't realize that about Biggie. And then hearing his voice, he has almost an R&B voice. So he had all his talent. He could kind of do whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has some of the best songs ever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I was on The Ringer has a series called 60 Songs That Made the 90s.
Yeah.
And so they kind of delve into obviously 60 songs. And so Juicy is one that they talk about. And just breaking down that song, but then he also goes into a lot of the other stuff that I'd almost forgotten about Ready to Die, and just how dark the album can be. You know what I mean? Like he commits suicide at the end, not really, but he commits suicide. But then you have these songs that are, to this day, like that's one teenagers today could still get into, like Juicy and songs like that. And so, and I just feel like, and again, that's one of those ones where you look at, obviously it's short because he was killed, but I feel like, you talk about that Flying Close to the Sun, he's right there because his best was so fucking amazing. And that's what I noticed this week when I went back and just listened to the way he put words together and like the way he evoked emotion in and just put, in such a short time and just a short grouping of songs that he did. It's unreal.
I have a bad parent confession. When my son was really little and we used to drive around a lot, and I would always be listening to hip hop music, and he was really into counting. And one of his favorite songs when he was like just learning to speak was 10 Crack Commandments. He could count along with it, and it would 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But yes, he told stories and had the charisma like no one else. Like you wanted to be his friend and like hear what he had to say. And Juicy, for me, is my best. It's the best rap song in the history of rap songs.
So good.
It's the best.
So good.
It's the best. I love that song.
Biggie was, I used to put that CD in my CD man. If you guys remember those, they were like the portable CD players. and I'd lay down and I used to just listen to, what was the second album, a second big track on that album? It was, To All the Ladies in the Place with Style and Grace, that one. And I memorized that whole song. And I would just memorize all the lyrics. And that was one of the first songs that I actually did that. And it got me thinking about like how to flow and like how to put together, bars, actually like put it together correctly, because he did it so perfectly. And that was when it got me thinking about it. And that's what I think maybe got us all thinking about being rappers.
Yeah.
Get Money. Remember that song? I love that song too.
Lil Kim,
Lil Kim. Yeah.
No, but he like you said, Kurt, he was one of the best ever, because there's something intangible about it. I mean, he had such force in his voice, and you can't replicate that.
So it's funny. There's a name that we haven't talked about, and maybe it's because we thought it might be someone's top, but nobody has talked about Tupac Shakur yet. He was my number 2. And I feel like just like Biggie was like one of those, he was angry and he had so much to say, and he was so poetic and so emotional and so raw and so talented and so fucking like intelligent and amazing. And God, also flew too close to the sun, and deserves mention because his flow was like next level. It was forward thinking, and he was talking about really important issues, and was that's a guy who I feel like, I think you brought this up in a conversation once, Kurt, where it was kind of like when you think about all these musicians whose lives were cut short too early, like that guy, I wanted to see what would become of him, because he was so smart and so like connected to issues. I feel like he could have been like the fucking president, knowing that my vote, Kanye, tried to run for president, which was just a travesty and was disgusting.
Yeah.
Like Tupac could have run for president and been a good president. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's a guy who, God, he would have been a great actor and an activist and would have been a voice of change. And it's just devastating that he was lost. And I feel like, fuck, that he was amazing. He was really great and had some albums that also like, and songs that come up that you just want to keep listening to.
I think about what he would have had to say during the last year, 2 years. You know what I mean? Like how he could have, because I feel like, if he's alive all this time, obviously he probably has all this capital with the community and having that singular voice that probably nobody else would have had. The world is worse off for not having him around.
Yeah. He was good at calling bullshit, right? He has bullshit on placating fucking like points of view.
He has he has the unfair advantage of dying right before his peak, Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your guys, what is your favorite? Basically, we should have our one segment on Tupac. What is your favorite Tupac song? Because I think we all have a favorite Tupac song.
Changes. It's mine.
Changes?
Yeah. He did a song with fucking Steve Winwood music. Okay. Steve Winwood. And he made that song, like the lyrics are so powerful, and he's talking about it was what I wanted. And one thing, we didn't really talk about where hip hop has gone and where it is and all the and maybe we will in our next segment when we're talking about the worst hip hop. But like he was really someone I wanted people to continue using hip hop music as a political platform and speaking about issues. And I feel like that has largely been lost. I think Kendrick still does it.
Yeah, Kendrick does it.
Yeah.
And a little bit Kanye did. And there's a little bit of it that's still in the foundations, but like that was sort of what he was about. And I feel like that has been lost in a way.
I think How Do You Want It is probably my favorite Tupac song.
Well, that's good. Let me
Oh, yeah.
activate
Yeah.
you.
So Mason, you got me into that song. I never appreciated it as much to tell you, and you like broke the whole fucking song down for me one time. You were like, listen here, he's gonna go here and he's gonna go here.
Oh.
You had this full like whole class on it, and ever since then, like, yeah, that's my favorite Tupac song.
That was probably that. You're right. Like that, his flow in that song was so good. He just went like bounce.
I like Tupac a lot.
Oh
No. I can't. I honestly like. I can't think of names of songs. I know. This is so.
Rewind. Sound selector.
I'm going to be honest right now. I'm totally blanking on an actual name of a Tupac song. I mean, I could have just pulled one from one of you guys and been like, yeah. But I do like Tupac. But I'm like, I can't think of one song name that I'm like, that's my Tupac song. I know.
To live and die in LA. I mean,
no, keep singing.
Know.
Let me.
My best friend. That was a good one too. All I need in this life is sin. Is me and my girlfriend. Me and my girlfriend.
Yeah, I like that song.
Dear Mama.
What about Two of America's Most Wanted with Snoop?
California Love.
Song. Your Mama.
Dear Mama.
California Love. Okay, I'll say California Love.
California.
I just feel like it's a cop out though. I mean, I don't have it on the list, but I do like. I totally appreciate.
Life Goes On.
That's yes. There it is. I've said every song is my favorite, but honestly, Life Goes On was actually that is my favorite Tupac song.
That was a good song.
Yeah. Thank you, Mason, for pulling up.
He did a song. He did a song with Digital Underground. I think it's
that's where he started with Digital Underground.
Kiss You and I'll Kiss You Back. Oh, was it? I Get Around? Yeah. Kiss You and I'll Kiss You Back. He was on that. Well,
yep.
So I forget who did it, but I feel like I got to mention a few people here as like on my top list who are not the top, but I feel like I deserve some recognition here. So Q-Tip is on my list.
Yes.
Like if we're and we haven't talked groups, but I mean, I think probably for most of us, Tribe Called Quest is probably right up there in the top group. And I feel like Q-Tip is a big part of that. I mean, I love Tribe Called Quest. I have Q-Tip on one of my worst lists because. Are you serious?
I love Tribe Called Quest, but if you take the Tribe Called Quest away from Q-Tip, like, and you take his solo career, I don't like him.
I think the pundits would disagree. The pundits would disagree.
I'm sure they would.
Wow.
That's my.
Yeah, the pundits.
He's not my worst. I was just disappointed in his.
Because he actually does a lot of the production and his voice, man.
Yeah, he does. His voice is awesome.
I mean, you know what song I heard today that's amazing? He did a song with Janet Jackson back in 1996. Q-Tip and Janet Jackson. I forget the name of the song.
Sarah, do you know that Janet Jackson is that's your special area?
I don't. I'm sorry.
I heard it today.
Oh, really? Yeah. You know what song Q-Tip I always think of is.
What? Go ahead.
Are you looking it up? Look it up.
No, I'm not looking.
Anyone remember the song Galvanize by Q-Tip?
I have to.
Anyone? Galvanize?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's a great song. Love it.
When I went to Europe,
I think he's got a lot of forgettable songs.
What year? It was like the song that everyone played. And when I came home here, it wasn't as big yet. It did make it really big. But even to this day, like I asked my husband, I played it and he's like, I've never heard this song in my life. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, is it?
It's a great song.
Well,
it's a really good song though.
Well, what about he raps on Groove Is in the Heart?
Oh yeah. Got Till It's Gone.
That's true. That was good.
Janet Jackson.
Groove Is in the Heart was a good song. I loved that song. It was so fun. Yeah.
Vibrant Thing is pretty amazing.
Okay.
Q-Tip solo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I was overstating things.
Fife Dog
has
the worst career.
Who else you got on there?
Okay, a couple more on my list. So I got Black Thought from The Roots. I feel like he.
Yes, I had him.
Mm-hmm.
underrated, just because he's with the Roots.
Right.
So we talked about Outkast a little bit. So a couple that are a little bit. So I have Ad Rock from Beastie Boys. He's always been my favorite rapper from the Beastie Boys, and I think like when you look at what he did, pretty amazing. I have someone who wasn't in a rap group or hasn't really been a rapper by himself, but I have Zach De La Rocha from Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah, it's a good choice. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like he's. And then my other one, we kind of mentioned him, is Chance the Rapper. He's new. He doesn't have the catalog, but I'm
amazing.
I've bought all the Chance stock. Cause I feel like he has the chance to do something really special.
Yeah. I like him. He makes you feel good. Like he has positive energy just flowing out of him. And I've the first time I ever heard him was on that song Sunday Candy, and that song will brighten my day if I'm feeling down.
You should revisit. I don't know if you guys heard, but he made a album when he was his first mixtape. It was called forget the name of it.
10 Day?
Very first mixtape. Check it out. 10 Day. Yep. He was like 18 in high school. He got suspended for 10 days. Wrote a rap album, right? In 10 days, and it's actually amazing. It's like genius almost.
Yeah. So his second mixtape, Acid Rap. So that's for those out there. So I'm a creative, so I do some writing and stuff like that for work. And so when I have two albums I generally put on when I need to be creative, and Acid Rap and Frank Ocean Orange are kind of the two albums I go to. And so that is just puts you in a certain headspace that I feel like is really, really creative. And so funny Chance the Rapper story, another live music story. So he was playing in Kansas City, and I had I do some like media buying and stuff for work. So I had actually somebody from a streaming service who wanted me to buy advertising had tried to give me some tickets to Chance, and I was like, yeah, of course I want to go see him. But it turned out that the ticket that they gave me two, one for me and a friend, and the ticket was like counterfeit. So they had bought it on like the secondary market, and so it was counterfeit. So like we get up there and like they're trying to scan it, and it gives you like the, and so we're just kind of looking at each other. And so I had like tweeted out something about like just being disappointed and like, how stupid it was. So Chance's tour manager like replies to me on Twitter and says, "Hey man, are you still around? Come to the side entrance. We got you."
Yeah.
And so
what? Wow.
So we came back. Yeah. So come to the side entrance of the venue, and he gets us right up close. And it was like so unexpected. Like I was so high to see him, and then I was so low not getting in, and then come back. It was like this crazy mix of emotions. So I had real appreciation for when I got to see that show.
This is such a Kurt, I feel like you're always in the right place. Or you do the right things to get in the right place. Like it's crazy. And then we were just hanging out with like every famous person ever. You're like, oh, you heard about my Chance encounter with them, right? Like that's awesome though.
I see what you did there, Chance encounter.
It made me think of that story made me think of my third rapper actual in-person encounter. Because I was trying to think of it. I met Ice Cube at a 7-Eleven on Bundy Avenue in West Los Angeles. Yeah, I was going out of 7-Eleven and he was going into 7-Eleven. Ice Cube.
What did you say to him?
I didn't say anything because it's weird. I mean, he's going into 7-Eleven. What do you say to a guy going into 7-Eleven?
Going into 7-Eleven.
But you know what? It is surreal seeing Ice Cube because at the time he was he had just I think he had just made Friday or Another Friday. So he was like at the height of his fame. And here you are, you've got your coffee, it's 7 a.m. I'm walking outside and I just look up and it's Ice Cube.
Well, rappers need Slurpees too, I mean, come on.
Either they don't know, they don't show, they don't care about what's going on at 7-Eleven.
And Ice Cube's another guy that deserves mention because early on in his career, he was edgy and he really did do a lot of like activism. I mean, his albums were activism albums almost, and they were works of art.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
and I wasn't familiar. Did you in the NWA movie when they showed him when he left the group and then went into his agent's office and broke the place up and was like, I need a different contract. This is bullshit.
Jerry Heller.
Yeah, that's right. It was inspiring, you know?
Nobody mentioned
right. Like we got to get into.
Shout out to LL Cool J, Sarah, because that is a good point. He was a fashion style actor icon and a rapper. So he was the one that went across a lot of different.
That's true. He did kind of like
Cool James.
Form that mold.
Yeah, he was one of the first guys to go from rapper to actor. I mean, people forget that. I mean, he still is an actor. Yeah. He still is an actor. Yeah.
Oh.
Kurt, you mentioned Beastie Boys. I love the Beastie Boys. And like, I remember it was so when we were young, you used to hear a song on the radio. And I remember I was in like the Willows shopping center and I heard Paul Revere on the radio and I didn't know what it was. And there was no internet. So you couldn't like look up what's that song? Cause I just remember hearing some of the lyrics and the sound was so interesting. And I didn't know who they were. It was before I knew who the Beastie Boys were. And I was like, I remember for like a year or two searching for that, like, who is that song? And because they didn't play it on like a lot of the mainstream radio stations. And when I finally figured out it's the Beastie Boys, oh, good, I can buy their album and listen to it now. It was like this great discovery. You used to have to find stuff, but now you just look it up. Did you see the Beastie Boys? They did a special on like, I think it was Apple TV did it, where they kind of did a retrospective, and it was a little bit of a love letter to what's his name who passed away from the group, and MCA. It was MCA. I loved that, and if you like the Beastie Boys, I would highly recommend watching that special. Like, it made me cry. It was their friendship in a way was like, it reminded me of like all the dumb shit we used to do and just like, just fucking around and trying to be creative. And they obviously did a much better job of it than we did with our rap group. But it was inspiring and like really interesting the format of it. I love. They're just kind of like talking through these stories. And I think it's worth a watch if you like them and like their music. Also, MCA, Adam Yauch was so talented and creative. It blows me away. It's really fun. So watch it. Oh, Mike.
So does that, I mean, are we being remiss if we don't mention our foray into rap music as during the Rappers episode?
I think we kind of have to.
Crew.
MOU crew, yes. We had a chance.
So the three of us were in a rap group. So the story went that Joey had gotten 2 turntables. I think because you got a tax return. Is that right, Joey? Was that how it started?
Yeah, I think I got a tax return, and I was like, I was really I wanted to kind of get into production, and I got turntables, and then I went really deep into the crates. Like I would scour Amoeba Music in Berkeley. I'd go to Tower Records, Rasputin in Berkeley, and I'd just go deep into like old jazz, old break beats, old hip hop albums, and then just sample old little loops and some instrumentals, and we just start rapping. It was actually, in retrospect, it's easy to look back and go, yeah, we were it was silly, we were kids, but it was really fun being creative and trying to do, a creative venture like that. It was real fun.
I loved it. And what was funny, so our name was the MOU Masters of the Universe. And it was because so Joey got the turntables and had all this great music, like the instrumental tracks. And then I, at the same time, was looking for records to play on the along with the hip hop beats. And I found this old He-Man, little booklet record player from when I was a kid that used to read along. and we mixed in the sounds of all the different characters from He-Man with the beats, and kind of were telling this little story and then writing these raps to go along with it. And I think, I'm biased, but you look back at it, and I think that we did an album with like 17 songs, and they were all decent, pretty good. I remember driving around making these kids in a Denny's parking lot listen to it in your van, Joe. And we were like, no, let's listen to it. And the kids were like, whoa, that's really good. I can't believe it, because they thought we were fucking blowing smoke. And then we got to go perform in LA at a club, and it wasn't embarrassing. Yeah. So I call that a victory.
We were right before like white guy rappers could ride that wave of success. Like we were before that. We predated that whole thing.
That was the problem. Yeah.
We were trying in earnest to just make it just based on our like raps. Like, we're good enough. Our production is good enough. Our rap is good enough. We should make it. Right. But we weren't really selling our.
Yeah.
We were
also, it was like, what do we do now? What do we do? I don't know. What do we do with this? What do we do? Do we have a place to like post it online?
There's a great. So I also did a film for my film class where, did an old school reel to reel, like spliced together film to put together this film of us making an album. And it turned out actually great. But one of the scenes, if you guys remember, was us holding up a $1.25 GarageBand royalty check that we had actually made money off of our album. So we actually did make money. I mean,
you're right. Confirmed. We were professional rappers, I think.
We were pros.
I was at the concert in LA. I was also there for many recording sessions,
That's right. That was awesome.
It was good. You guys were good. It was good.
We were good. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. It was fun. We were not the best rapper ever, though. Let's be clear about that.
No,
we were not the worst. No, we were not the worst.
But we were not the worst. It's really, speaking of which, that's a really hard thing to do, is come up with the worst rappers. You really have to either scrape the bottom of the barrel, or you have to come up with someone that's, look at this idiot, got mainstream success, but totally sucks. So, I mean, which way are you going to go?
It could be like really easy, like low hanging fruit. Yeah. Yeah. Or...
Yeah, because I think overrated is kind of one to go to.
Can we just say Ja Rule? Can we just throw Ja Rule in that mix?
Yeah,
Mike Jones?
Absolutely.
69 Boys? Do you guys remember 69 Boys?
Oh, yeah.
Tootsie Roll?
Whoop, there
Tootsie
it is.
Roll.
Tootsie Roll.
Did they do Whoop there too?
Put it in their mouth.
Maybe they... Choo Choo. I think they had like a song like Choo Choo Train, like Choo Choo.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was Come on, Ride That Train and Ride It. Choo Choo.
Yeah, I think so. I had 69 Boy. The worst was actually more difficult to do, because I'm like, how do you...
I agree.
You could legitimately say some of the rappers on the Ghetto Boys were the worst rappers ever, but it all worked.
Bill, I have him.
Bushwick motherfucking Bill.
But he was so cool. He was. Yeah.
So, okay, one person I put, but I don't think they're the worst. So that's what's terrible about it. I like the songs, but I put OT Genesis just because, as far as like rap skills go, like, I'm in love with the Coco.
Yeah.
Who's OT Genesis?
I look good. Cut it. Like, his songs are just one word.
You need to cut it.
I like the songs.
I got it on the low.
Yeah, I like the songs, but I'm like, it might be the worst rapper. I don't know.
I didn't even know who he is, but like at my house, we say that at least once a week. You need to cut it.
It's great. Like, I still love it. I don't like. I still. So, but yeah, I didn't know. I was like, is he bad?
You feel both good and bad after listening to the song, right? You're like, it's a good song. I'm not sure if it's bad or not.
Yeah, basically. There's like no thought really went into the song. It's not like lyrics, like somebody really like, put a lot of artistic.
Yeah, but is Master P one of the worst rappers ever?
Maybe.
Yes,
I have him on my list.
He's on my list.
Yeah. But then so is Eazy-E, right?
Oh, no. Eazy-E actually, like, a lot of his Eazy-E songs have been covered. That's the sign of a pretty good song.
Yeah, I think Eazy-E is not on the list.
Okay.
But Master P's on mine, but like, I mean, he's actually doing good stuff in the community now. So like, I feel bad saying it because like he's like helping inner city New Orleans and like donating money to all these places that need help. And he's like doing amazing things. So it's you feel bad saying it.
Right. And then I also feel bad. I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm I'm super familiar with like modern rappers. So I feel like it's kind of too easy to go down and there's also just a lot of like people who are here and then they take too many pills and disappear. So it's, and I don't get all the like modern contemporary hip hop.
I think
so. You have someone like a 21 Savage who
I like 21 Savage.
I do.
I like him, but I go like, he's not a very good rapper, but I really like him.
Yeah,
songs he makes,
he's on my worst list. Without a doubt, he's a terrible rapper. He's like, if you listen to how he raps,
yes,
he is not
21
good.
21.
But I like it, but it ends up in something like a product I like. Oh God.
It ends up something you.
Oh God.
And then I felt weird. Kurt, do you remember you had an album of like NBA rappers?
I have that album.
And Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah. They were really, 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 really bad.
Listen,
but that's low.
When you're a fanatic, and that's what a fan really is, you get swept up. Anything they do is just gold. Like Jason Kidd, people want to know what the Kid did. Is still in one of my top songs ever. I love it.
You had a special relationship with Jason Kidd.
People want to know what the Kid did.
Back from OAK.
So, I mean, another segment is best rapper athlete. And I think Shaquille O'Neal obviously is the best one. I mean, question. Is there a question?
The best one?
You think he's the best rapper athlete?
Best rapper athlete?
Yeah, I mean,
good?
No, Shaq had more commercial success. I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it. But
as a rapper,
Shaq, yeah, Kurt, he did a song with
Shaq Fu,
Shaq Fu, Schnickens, yes, and then he had some of his solo albums actually had like platinum success, so he did good.
Okay. I encountered Shaquille O'Neal once. He walked out of a building. I was in San Francisco. And I was walking around a corner and he was walking out of the building and I almost collided with him. And it was one of the scariest moments of my life because like, you don't realize how large he is. And there was just this giant in front of me that I almost ran into. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't say anything to him because I was in shock, but it was a fun experience.
What does he?
I'm going to throw out a name for worst or overrated. Okay. And he actually, I'll throw out a couple names. 50 Cent and DMX are on my worst.
Yes. And yes. Yes. And yes.
50 Cent actually found a lot of talent though. He, but maybe as a rapper, I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had a lot of commercial success for sure. I mean, but yeah, when you go back and listen to it, he's just, I always felt like he had marbles in his mouth when he was trying to.
Yeah. And DMX literally barked like a dog on his album.
Yeah.
Yeah. DMX is up there. I still like a couple songs, but yeah.
X gonna give it to you. I will run through a wall at the gym if you put that on. Yes, he does bark at you, and I kind of like it to get me motivated.
That's true.
My father went to New York and he went to some hip hop store there, and he at the point of sale at the checkout, he grabbed some mixtape that they had and he brought it back. He said, "Joe, this is the newest, hottest mixtape, in New York." And I put it on. It was DMX barking. And I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" I took it right out. I'm like, what is going on?
So I don't think they're the worst, but I had it sort of, it's tough again because I still like them, but not. So Naughty by Nature, just because they only would have one good song. They'd have like one song on an album. The rest of it would be like unlistenable. every time. Unless
so true.
maybe I just don't know. So I was like, maybe they're just bad rappers. Like, I don't know. But I could be like, I never listened to any of it. So that might be really wrong. Like, I might just be making an assumption.
Sarah, so I remember we were at your house and it was one of these like karaoke things. I don't know. You had a karaoke thing set up and I tried to do a Naughty by Nature song and it was impossible to keep up with.
So, it was, see there, maybe it's very complex and like, I'm just not even, you know.
So I feel like I totally agree with your point, but I also feel like that one song they did was
OPP
was pretty talented. Well, it was, yeah. There was OPP was great. And then there was the Hey Ho, which is a different song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hip Hop Hooray.
Hip Hop Hooray. Yeah.
Every wedding ever.
It was Tretch. He was just like so fast. He spoke so fast. And sometimes you feel like, are those real words? And then when you see him on karaoke, you're like, they are real like, words that he's saying in a staccato, like just huge machine gun point of view. Speaking of which, Machine Gun Kelly, do you guys know? I don't know his music. I only know him because I heard he created some beef with Eminem, but is he any good? I don't know.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's a good rapper. He's a good rapper.
People love him. It's not my cup of tea. It's but he actually has like a pop punk album out right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's an actor too, right?
Either, but yeah, I think he's doing some stuff. Yeah,
good for him.
I haven't heard any of his music. I just know he was in that movie with Pete Davidson, whatever the Judd Apatow movie that recently came out. And I was like, that's Machine Gun Kelly. Yeah, like that's the only, so I don't know. I haven't heard his
music. That's a good movie. That's a good movie.
And he's married to Megan Fox. She's really hot. So
wait, what? He must
think so, isn't he?
I don't know. Wrong? I need to know.
I thought it was with Halsey.
Oh.
Clearly, we don't know. None of us know.
Yeah, I don't know anything modern. You know who my vote was for worst?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I had P. Diddy as the worst rapper. And I think here was the thing.
That was mine too.
Okay. I loved,
really?
It was something I read. It was like, so there was a line he had where he didn't have to write rhymes. He wrote checks, but why didn't he write a check to a good songwriter? That was it was not my joke, but I read it and I was like, yes, exactly. Why didn't he hire a better songwriter to like coach him? He's around these like, just like transcendent, idols. And that was the best he came up with. It's weird. I don't know.
P. Diddy is like Apple. Okay. So P. Diddy found Biggie, Apple made the iPhone. That's their big thing. That's the thing.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, and I think it's different. Like you were talking about, Mace, I think it's different than today where you do have people who are doing writing for some fairly significant artists. And I think that was not a thing back in the day because it was so frowned upon as, not being real. And, that wasn't what hip hop did. So I think he probably suffered from that too. But, and two, I also don't think he cared that much. You know what I mean? Like he was fine just being on the track, doing the production, owning the record label.
Bad boy.
See, the thing is that separates like a P. Diddy from a Master P for me, which was my pick, is that P. Diddy's music is actually like you can kind of listen to it. You can still like play it in your car. A Master P song, I'm changing that shit immediately. Like I'm going to the next station.
That's true. Yeah, I like his songs. That's the thing. He's from a craftsmanship perspective, I felt like he was not a good rapper. But yes, his music was good, and he clearly had good taste, in like sound and production, and yeah.
So my it's newer, but and just from there's a lot of lists obviously about the subjects we're talking about. But Future is somebody who a lot of people currently just go crazy over, and I vehemently hate Future. I think he is terrible. Like he
mask on.
Auto tunes. He cannot put together words.
Mask on.
It's every time I am just I hate it.
It's I think it's the sound that's coming out of the South right now. He's the king of it right now.
But I think he has a charisma. So it's funny because you don't like 2 Chainz either. And for me, I put 2 Chainz and Future in a similar bucket where I like listening to them, like their music. And I don't think they're particularly necessarily like, they're not the most skillful, but I really like their songs. Joey and I were in, I think when that Mask Off song came out, we were in Dallas. We were on a road trip. We were working at a couple different cities. With Jarek, and we were driving around, and we would, every time we got in the car, would play that song. It was like, it became a joke. We would just put that song on and would just listen to it over and over and over again because it was just like fun and stupid and ridiculous. But
I agree with Kurt. It's too over processed. Like if you can over process music, Future does it. It's overproduced.
Sarah, who's the top of your overrated list?
I gave mine away right away. It was 69 Boys. I think it was a cop out though. Nobody even knows who they are. I had a hard. The other thing I wrote down, which is also a cop out, I had this rap Christmas album as a kid.
Oh yeah,
they're like unnamed people. I've tried to find it as an adult, like this Christmas season, and I couldn't. I came across about like 100 other. Like I went through Spotify's like rap Christmas songs, some good ones by the way. But this one song was the worst. Like they did Papa Partridge in a Pear Tree was like the what is the 12 days ago? And that's the only line I can remember. And it was the worst rap I've ever heard in my entire life. And we'd play it every year just to laugh. So I wrote that, the rap Christmas album, but super cop out. I mean, I would agree though. I think then I had 69 Boys, OT Genesis, which I don't know if he counts because I actually like the songs. So other than that, I would agree with Master P.
I'll come over to Master P. I think I don't know his music as well because I think like you, Joey, when I hear it, I turn it off.
Yeah, it's so grating. It hurts. It like it almost is like it. Even the beat, I feel like it accentuates. Like it's just I can't even put it into words.
Is he from Houston? Is he Houston?
New Orleans.
Okay.
Such a nice guy, though. As a side note, I just don't. He is a really good person in his community.
Right. Okay.
What was that group in South Florida? And they had the big booty, girls, and they'd all dance, and it was such terrible music.
Two Live Crew,
but it's actually they can't be on your worst, but they can't be on your best either. They have to be a middling rap group.
That's interesting. I think they were really bad, but they were important for rap because they were the centerpiece of the.
They were provocative.
Yes. Nobody knows what it means. That's why it's provocative.
Just every scene is them like with big booty girls and like bikinis in the pool. Like every single video.
First time I ever saw a thong.
Yeah, I have a memory when I was staying with Joe. I went down to LA for the summer and I stayed with you and your dad.
They had the box.
There was the box and you could like order songs over the phone or something. I don't remember exactly how it worked. You called the number and you could order a song. And they had a song, Two Live Crew, called Put 'Em Up on the Glass, which was all about like, it was like the whole video was a car wash with like girls in bikinis putting their breasts up on the glass. And I was like, this isn't music, but it's okay. Maybe Two Live Crew. I don't know who the individual artists were, but maybe they deserve to be in our list. But again, they fought against like Tipper Gore, who was trying to censor rap music. And so they did move the needle. I remember they got arrested for performing once because they weren't allowed to say the F word. And so good for them. God bless them. And we appreciate their contribution to the art. Yeah,
This has been a pretty comprehensive look at our favorite artists.
I think so. Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So so to circle back, do we have agreement on our best and worst?
I feel like all of our best are legitimate ones. Like if you can make an argument for Kanye, you can make an argument for Kendrick. I honestly slept on Kanye. I didn't even think of Kanye. I don't know why. But Kanye, for me, just like you, Mason, and you, Kurt, and you, Sarah, it's like he has elicits such emotion when you listen to his music. It's incredible. I mean, because I think he's unstable. So it comes out in his lyrics. There's a lot of joy and a lot of pain in his lyrics that really like bring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that that people sort of in that frame of mind, I don't know, it creates this amazing art, and it's a tale as old as time, right, to go back to, a Bible Goes West song. But the fact that
it's music is this, bro. Come on.
Okay.
Jesus, no, you're
like, wait a minute.
You got two daughters.
Wait a second.
Be my guest. Be my guest.
You're right. That's actually the beginning of this theme song.
But Angela Lansbury, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy that people who have like these chaotic, brains that they suffer a lot, but music is this weird art form where they can turn that into something beautiful. It's good, but also, and what's weird is that you like kind of, I look at an artist like Eminem where I feel like he seems more sane, but also his music's not as good. And I feel a little bit of guilt for that because I'm like, maybe stop taking your medication and
if you talk
a little wild again, because
if you talk to a lot of these artists, they'll tell you that their biggest insecurity and fear is losing their edge, losing that.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. So do we expect the Kim breakup album to be something phenomenal or where, because the last album, let's be honest, was by far his worst by a mile.
If he's smart,
that was the choir one.
Yeah. Kurt, if he's smart, he does a Marvin Gaye "Here My Dear" album and blows it away.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
I think I've found that when he goes, so a couple of the albums I didn't like, the next ones were like transformative and were good. So I have high hopes.
Yeah.
Plus, also, I never liked him with, and I know I now sound like a a lady watching her stories, but I never liked them together. Okay.
I
knew she was wrong.
Yeah, I was annoyed that Kanye ended up with Kim Kardashian, because I like, no offense to the Kardashians, but I feel like Kanye is so talented and has become successful because of his talents. And I feel like a case could be made that the opposite is how like the Kardashian family became famous for being famous and it's almost like a punchline that they don't have any talents. I don't know. Maybe that's not nice to say, but I was just like, he's so creative and artistic, and how is he with Kim Kardashian? But I don't know her. Maybe she's lovely and sensitive and sweet. I don't know.
Well, we can only hope. Maybe he gets off a little prissy bitch. Wyoming reservation at some point.
He's a very polarizing figure for sure. I mean, because you talk to different sections of people and they hate Kanye. And why do you hate Kanye? Well, for me, it's always been very easy for me to separate the artist from the individual. Individuals are messy and they are, all the things that we are as humans, but artists are really, it's getting murky now with a lot of controversial stuff. But, again, artists are artists, and I could separate the two things. A lot of people can't.
Well said.
Yeah. So any parting thoughts, folks, before we put a bow on this one?
I love hip hop.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like we didn't talk about a lot of female hip hop artists.
Yeah, I was thinking that
tonight.
Yeah.
But I think that, hip hop has actually been there are some outstanding female hip hop artists throughout the sort of from the beginning. I remember listening to JJ Fad Supersonic, and I loved that song. I remember I have a one of, you have those like vivid memories. I remember Joey and I we must have been like 8 years old, and we were playing on a basketball league that we used to play. It was like an indoor basketball league where we practiced in some guy's driveway. And I remember that Supersonic came on. We were driving home in your mom's van, and I got so happy because I never heard that song. It was one of those songs that they only played once in a while, and it came on. I was like, yes, that's the song I've been waiting to hear. And Salt and Pepper was actually super talented, amazing. Queen Latifah did some great work. So, and then you have people like, I think Megan Thee Stallion is like real big right now. And I like what she's doing. She's kind of creating a little bit of her own controversy and making statements. So I don't think we gave a whole lot of attention to female MCs, but there are some great like female rappers that deserve mention.
Agreed.
Cardi B.
Yeah. Cardi B.
Yeah. Agreed. No, that's no question.
That's my daughter's favorite rapper. She said that's my favorite rapper is Cardi B.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I hope you don't understand all the things she's saying, but that's fine.
Yeah, she's good.
It's cool. It's cool. I mean, I like seeing the next generation, seeing what they're into. Definitely. Yeah. I mean, if you ask, my kids who their favorite rapper is, they're going to say, what is his name? I'm sorry, guys. It'll come to me.
My kids were unanimous on their least favorite rapper, which I found interesting. They all selected Drake as their least favorite rapper, which I thought was
wow.
I was like, oh,
I'm surprised by that because I just feel like he has so many like almost like pop songs.
Yeah,
and popularity.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Lil Nas X would be my kid's favorite.
Lil Nas, yes, my kids love him too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. I like his story.
Lil Nas X.
The funniest story I heard about him was that when he, Oh, I was just gonna say, so when he did that Old Town Road song, apparently like he just did that one song and it got huge. And then someone wanted to sign him and be like, we want to produce your album. And he's like, well, I don't have any other songs. So that's my only song. And they're like, well, okay, we got to change that. So yeah, it's funny.
Was it like on TikTok or YouTube? He just did a TikTok video, wasn't it? Or YouTube or something?
TikTok.
I don't know. Yeah,
crazy.
Maybe.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Think about that. You could just make one song.
Right.
If you're talented or come up with some genius thing, like, God,
Mm-hmm.
do you think
the world's amazing now?
Do you think going viral is a kind of like hitting the lotto kind of odds?
I think it's easier than that. I think with today, I think you just have way more avenues.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially. I mean, because that's a whole kind of subgenre is like the SoundCloud.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, actually, so that's the thing. I think what you have to put it in perspective, right? Winning the lotto has nothing to do with your talent. And I think that if you look up how much, it's insane how much content is being created every day. Like, I don't know what it is, and I'm going to make up a number, but it's something like every day people are uploading like 100 years of videos, or every second or something. It's like insane how much content people are uploading to YouTube or this or that. So in a way, because there are so many avenues and it's so easy now to put your content up where people can find it, it might even be harder to stand out. So the people who I think do emerge probably have to have more of that spark and some magic there, where there's probably a lot of garbage because it's so easy. Like, name podcast.
This is going somewhere, guys. Come on.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Joey, Sarah, any parting thoughts?
Well, I think I named most of the rappers that. I feel bad because I slept on Kanye. For some reason, when I was putting together my list, Kanye was not on the forefront of my mind. But, when the more I reflect on it, Kanye is definitely in my top 3 or 4 or 5. So I think all the names we put there are legitimate number ones.
Are you in objection of him as our pick for best?
Not at all, because I love Kanye. I can't argue with it.
Okay, so we can call him
Sarah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Mason made a good point there about the female rappers. I'm a big Cardi B fan right now. And it's just, man, once I started looking into this, you just go down this like mole hole, and like, I guess I'm just sad there's like so many people we didn't even talk about or get to even talk about. There's so many good art, like hip hop. I'm like, I can't wrap my head around it. I have memories of always riding around with you guys in the van listening to De La Soul, like Ego Tripping. You remember that? Like, we
That's great.
That's not on Spotify. Like, what am I going to do with it?
Do you remember the song that had the Japanese rappers on it?
Yeah, that was on the Balloon Mind State album.
Yeah, that's right. Do you remember? Sorry, not remember. Do you know the story behind that song?
I recall you telling me that, but please tell us.
It's really funny. I looked it up recently because I remember I loved that song. And so the story goes something like this: like De La Soul, there were these two rappers from Japan that were popular in Japan, and they invited them to come do like a guest performance on one of their tracks on the album. And they showed up, and De La Soul was like 4 hours late to the studio. And the song is them basically just saying, De La Soul asked us to be here. We showed up. They didn't come. So we don't know what they want us to talk about. So this is our rap. Thank you very much. We're done now. That's like, what the lyrics. It sounds really fun.
It sounds cool.
It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mic check. Okay. And then they tell that story.
See, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
I didn't mention one rapper that I want to say because he wrote one of my favorite rap lyrics of all. It's MC Ren from NWA, who I thought was really super talented. And there's a line he says it's not Compton, it's something like that. And he says, it's like, we're like a kid, we get new shoes and go faster. I don't know if you remember that, but for me, that was like this lyric that I have always loved. And because it reminds me of when you're a kid and you like, do you remember getting a new pair of shoes and you thought you could run faster? I got these kangaroo shoes and I thought now I can jump higher. It's stupid, but it's how like this imagination of your kids. And I loved that line in that song. I loved MC Ren. And so I just want to mention that.
We never mentioned the Fugees either, and Wyclef.
Oh yeah,
or Wu-Tang, or there's so
anyways, they could go on and on and on. But I'm confident with the Kanye pick, even though he is very controversial and there's a lot I don't agree with him. I like Joey said that separate the artist from the person. I guess that's how you said it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I think there's something to be said for that. And as an artist, he definitely takes top for me.
So for me, this was a really fun exercise in just revisiting some of the stuff that like I know I love, like, you know, like in conversation you bring it up, but it really reminded me just how much I love hip hop, like why I got into hip hop, why we all got into hip hop, that shared love of the art form, and I think, you know, we're of that age that, you know, like we've talked about, it was that golden age, I think, of hip hop. And I'm sure, you know, kids will think that whatever they're during their formative years, it's, you know, it's that great era. But I think as you look back on it, you know, I think we were lucky. You know, you talk about right place and the right time. You know, we got lucky to experience some pretty amazing music, and obviously there's still amazing music being made, but it really made me thankful that we were raised during that time, and we got to see a lot of that stuff up close and personal, and it's part of like the fabric of our memories. Those will always be with us. So for me, it was a nice little way to reminisce, and also just remind myself of just how talented some of these people are. I mean, you just forget how much thought and you know, in a lot of that stuff. So it was really fun. And I'm glad we chose this subject.
Me too. I think, you know, what's interesting about rap that I think people who don't like rap or aren't familiar with it, they often will dismiss it and say, oh, it's not music, but it is way more technically complex and complicated than like a lot of songs. A lot of songs, like if you look at hit songs, they have the entirety of their lyrics. There's like 30 words in the whole song or 10, right? And they just repeat a chorus over and over. And I'm not bashing. I love, music. And I think there's a lot of skill that goes into writing melodies and choruses, things like that. But like rap and hip hop it is poetry and the to put it all together, there's a lot of art in that. And I think you're right, Kurt. Like we were lucky to like see it grow and blossom and evolve into this huge sort of, and now it's pop culture, but at the time it was this little flower that was trying to grow. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
This was fun. I knew it was going to be a long one, and it was so much fun to talk about.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
It's really awesome to be here.
Yeah,
Intimidating though. Best rapper, man.
Real quick, I would be remiss not to mention one of my all-time personal favorites, which I don't think would go on anyone's list, perhaps, but P Rock and CL Smooth is one of my favorite.
I had them not on my favorites, but I had them listed. Yeah,
P Rock is a producer. P Rock is a producer, and CL Smooth with his lyrics work. It was like perfect together. But sadly, not really a top 10 group, but great group.
It feels good.
Yeah, they're really.
What's
good.
your guys? Okay, one more thing before we go. What's your favorite hip hop song to do for karaoke?
Karaoke?
You have one?
I've never.
Gin and juice. And juice.
I've done.
My
favorite hip hop song I listed was right. Gosh, maybe right above it, Lil Wayne.
Oh yeah,
and Drake.
Okay,
like that song just or what's That's
right.
That is right. Who was that? What
I don't even remember.
What was that? Smooth. No, Smooth.
Smooth. Yeah.
It was Smooth. That was the artist name.
That was your jam.
That's right. Smooth. How did we not talk about that? Come on, guys. Pop artist. Smooth.
Smooth.
That's right. Life of a Pinterest. Maybe worse rap, but whatever. Yeah, maybe
my favorite. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you finished there.
I was just gonna say right above it, or Whatever You Like by T.I. That was the other one I was gonna say.
That's a good one. Yeah, yeah. Mine is It Takes Two by DJ Easy Rock and wait, who else?
Rob Bass.
Rob Bass. Yes.
It takes two to make a thing go down. No, is that how it goes?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
I'm getting old.
I'd like to see you do that in karaoke, though. I don't think I've ever.
I did that. Yeah.
I've never karaoke a rap song, though. In all honesty, I've never.
We did a business trip where I think I did Gin and Juice. Mason did another song, knocked it out of the park. Mason's a low key karaoke star, by the way.
I didn't
know this.
Our colleague picked just a random song by Shaggy, and what he found out was it's impossible to do a Shaggy karaoke song. It's literally impossible because at first you could kind of keep up, and then Shaggy goes Shaggy on you, and it's just like you just.
That was funny.
He felt so bad.
Yeah.
I feel like you gotta try out a song before you actually do it in karaoke. Like you gotta test that at home in the car at least, because there's some surprises that come in when you just you can't just go first time around.
By the way, I don't know if you want to share this, Mason, but there's a video floating around of you crushing a live band karaoke at a corporate event.
Oh, that was fun. That was Bon Jovi. Yeah.
Sarah, have you seen this?
Oh yeah.
No, I have not.
I have not seen it. I have not seen it.
So we did this consumer marketing event, and they had this. One of the vendors was a live band that gets on stage, right? And you could come up and just do vocals with a live band, just and
they have a song list you could pick from, and then they play along with you, and it was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. And I was so proud because I did Living on a Prayer, And I remember, you know how karaoke is, like most people do it and it's fun and blah, blah, blah. But I remember I hit a couple notes on the chorus and the band looked at me and they were like, all right, like he's okay. And I was like, yeah, I got the nod from the guitar player. I was like, okay, cool.
It was one of those moments for me where I was like, is this really happening? What's going on? Mason's like turned into like a full on rock star.
Rock star.
You guys send that video around.
Speaking of, kind of karaoke. So, my former brother-in-law was in a Kansas City band called Browntown. And so they had one song that had rapping in it. And so they recorded it with a local rapper, but like that rapper would never be able to show up at shows. So they were like, hey, because my brother-in-law was like, hey, can you like learn this? It's like, a few bars. And so I think I performed it like 3 times live, and it just was like super exhilarating to like be on stage and like remember all those things, and like just the pressure of, like you can't fuck it up. Like everybody is looking at you, and you remember just how hard it is to remember lyrics while there's people in the stands and a band's playing live. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is fun performing live. I remember I used to perform with my friend Diana. She had a band, and they would sometimes call me up, and I'm not like, I don't look like I know what I'm doing. and we would be in like sort of different parts of town, and I would go up on stage and I have like a button up shirt on. It's like, who's this guy? But then that was all right. And then it was always a good feeling when people were like, okay, That's actually,
honestly, that would be I just thought of a great hip hop like act, which is like a guy that just gets on stage and, he's got his shirt tucked into his jeans. Yeah. It crushes it.
Yeah, that was how I felt. And it was always a good feeling because you get, it's part of like the hip hop story is the underdog kind of thing where you get up there and nobody expects much from you and you're like, what's up?
I guess in a sense that's what Little Dicky does, in a sense. He's
that's why I like him so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can identify with him, Mace.
Yeah. He did what I never could. Yeah. He took it to the next level.
That's
There's
son
still
of a
time.
bitch.
There's still time.
No, I'm happy for him. I want to see what he does next.
All right, folks. Well, we could talk for could talk for hours, but this was a great convo. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you'll agree to come back and talk on future subjects. So, but we always appreciate getting to see you, and gentlemen, it was a pleasure as always. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot,
later,
guys.
I've got to do the outro music. Kurt, you still can't hear it, huh? Can you hear it?
Just hum it to me.
Oh, you can't hear my DJ horn either.
Damn it.
That's okay. All right. Later, guys.
Later.
Bye.